Well, I think we're going to be exhausted before that.
I hope we are exhausted for 48 hours, or we're going to be in big trouble. Or I don't know what that means. Okay, so now we are. Uh-oh. Ed, I think, joined the wrong group.
Ed went on the wrong group.
Yeah, he says he's by himself.
I give him the link, and it says I'm in there alone.
I just emailed him back the other link. Okay, but we can start. So I'll start with my introduction.
Wait a second. Let's solve this with Ed. If he's trying to get in,
Okay, we'll wait a little bit.
Do we have his Gmail email?
Yeah, I've been inviting him, but he hasn't replied to me.
We're going to be exhausted before that.
I hope we are exhausted for 48 hours, or we're going to be in big trouble.
I sent Ed Pastore at Metagovernment a link.
Okay, so now we are. Okay. Oh, Ed, I think, joined the wrong group.
I sent him the link.
Is someone watching the beginning already somehow? Because we're getting like. Already said once.
Yeah, some people. Okay, I think it's gone. Whoever is on YouTube, stop for this.
Back the other.
Jacopo, please.
Yeah, that's you, Jacopo. You're playing our hangout. Slightly delayed. Okay, we'll wait a little bit.
Do we have his Jacopo? Jacopo,
See?
YouTube.
I can mute you. Oh yeah, the mute works. Okay, cool.
In general, I will keep my microphone mute unless I am speaking, just for you to know.
That's cool. Okay. Well, should we still wait for Ed, you think? Yeah, we'll give him till, for me, 2:20, so 2 more minutes. Does anyone have his phone number or something? I love those things. You can draw too. You can draw on your face, and then it follows it. So you can draw funny pictures or, yeah, clowns. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it finds your head too.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Kind of crazy that they can know where your head is somehow. Guess they know what a face looks like.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah, it's kind of a little scary. But cool.
So yeah, I think we'll have to start at the here it is. Maybe we can make it.
Okay. Well, I will start then. Can someone take notes? Because if I'm going to moderate, it's going to be hard to moderate and take notes. That's not a popular job. Oh, I got an email from Ed.
It's a horrendous job. Do we really need the notes, considering that it's being all recorded?
I guess not really technically. We could do notes later.
Oh, I gotta go help paint, I guess.
Well, it would be nice to post the notes to the group afterwards, so you don't have to watch the whole thing to get everything.
I'm starting a collaboration document. If you want, I can.
Well, I already made one in the chat group. Oh, I might not see it because I haven't. You joined, I think, since I did it. So in the group chat, there's a link to a document anyone can edit that wants to.
Yeah, we're there.
All right, so I will go. My name is James Hancock. I am currently living in Taiwan. I'm from America, Washington, D.C. It's really late here, but the weather is awesome. Tropical. Nice. I'm a musician and an entrepreneur. Right now I'm starting an online language learning company for teaching English through reading books. That's been my current project, just taking all of my time. The reason why I am interested in metagovernment is I really like to think about I really like the question, what is possible? And I feel with technology now we can do things so differently that we have no excuse to try new forms of government that are enabled by this technology that people use. I mean, whether or not you agree with like the American founding fathers or way back when, I wonder if they had access to this technology, what would they think? What would have they thought of? And how could you do things differently? So that's why I've kind of lurked on the list for a long time, just watching, like a couple of years actually, just watching and reading as stuff flies by. But I'm really glad that we've got these meetings now because it really helps, I think, for the collaboration aspect. So we will do, next we'll go to the left. Scott, can you do the next intro?
Yes. I get everything. I get all the. Somebody left the group right now, but I do my introduction. My name is Okay. My name is Jacopo. I'm Italian, and I'm unemployed at the current time. I participate as a volunteer at a project named IRESIS. As an internationalization promoter, and I'm promoting the translation of this software in different language, and that's the reason why I'm joining the Metagovernment, because I'm looking for people that share the same interest and the same ideas, and I'm looking for better ways to develop the software IRESIS, and I find in the Metagovernment a lot of good ideas and good knowledge. I live in Italy, planning to probably move to live in Brazil in the future.
Yeah. That's it. Planning to live in Brazil. This is new. I didn't know that.
This is it for now for my okay.
All right, thank you. Brazil. It's tropical.
Brazil. Probably we'll move to Brazil, yes.
Oh, Ed is still alone somehow.
I want to say another thing. I'm very interested in also in James' work about your project about the teaching software. Mm-hmm. I have some ideas that maybe in another we're going to discuss in a different settings, but I would like to give some suggestion of things that I thought about the same subject of learning children to read and learning children to speak other languages.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to have a conversation. I guess not offline, online, another line.
Yes.
Yeah. You just I'll just send you an email after this.
Sorry. Stop a second. Can you hear me, James?
Yes, I turned up your volume so you were louder.
Okay, hear me a moment. Ed Pasto is trying to join, and he invited me to join him in another conversation. So I showed him that we were all here, and I think he's trying to come here. I put in the group chat his email address. Have you seen it?
Yes, I invited him. I sent an invite. He just sent me another message right now.
Okay, can you actually focus on that a moment?
Yeah, he says he's the only one here. You know, let me try this one. I'm not sure how.
James, inside this on the top menu, do you have the plus people where there is the microphone, the camera, and the different settings?
I've been sending him invites this whole time, and in fact, anyone can invite him.
How do we invite him?
No. At the very top, you see where there's the toolbar of where you mute and turn off the camera. To the left, there's an invite people.
Okay, I don't have that function in my personal screen.
Well, I've been inviting him.
Well, I don't have it either. So I think it's only you who can invite. The place is yours, and you have to invite him. That's why it's important.
That's why I've been sending invites.
Yeah.
Since the beginning of this hangout, every couple minutes.
Gosh. Why is he not getting? Are they not working? I mean, that must be a bug in.
Somehow, I think he might be in a different email or something. I've been inviting his Ed Pasto at Gmail, and I just sent an invite to his. The Ed Pasto one at Metagovernment.
No, send him at edpasto@gmail.
I sent both now.
Oh, okay.
I resent him the link. We lost Scott. The other option is for me just to make a whole totally new one, and everyone try and join it. And
A whole what?
Huh? I could create a new live event with a new link that then we could all try and join, and hopefully Ed would join that time.
Could it be that? Look, I know a little bit, Ed. Could it be that he has his privacy options that does not permit him to join a live hangout?
That is possible on maybe the Metagovernment one, but I don't see how that's possible on its personal one. Because we've all joined it. Did anyone use a Gmail account to join this, or did you use a corporate account?
I use Gmail.
Yeah. So.
And there is the specific check mark you have to add where you allowed the live registration.
Oh, maybe you can do the right check mark. Okay. Well, should we try to make a new one just to?
Maybe. He's asking me. He says. He did not give permission to join a live discussion that will also be on YouTube. I mean, because he's a bit paranoid about what Google can do, and I have to say with reasons, of course. He probably did not give a lot of permissions to Google, and which I would. In fact, his email was, perhaps Google is getting back at me for disliking them so much.
And so they cornered him in his own little world, so he can't hang out with anyone.
Yes. Or you think you want to be a social? Well, here you go.
That's funny. It's just they're too useful. That's the problem.
Yeah, like tools well done.
Mm-hmm. All right, I say we do. I'm going to make a new one.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I would say, I don't know. I mean, either Ed starts a new one and we join his, or we are okay here. I don't think it makes sense to just make a new one and lose everybody again.
But if we lose, then we lose the recording it. But that's okay if we don't want to record it. If we all joined his.
Okay, let's. We can have a written format so that we can post it on the Metagovernment website. Just the written format of the report of the meeting.
Okay, so what is the link to Ed's Hangout?
I am asking him, would you like to start the room yourself and we will join?
That might be easiest.
What's the exact time over there, by the way? I mean, the minutes, because I think I have the minutes wrong.
It's 32.
32, not 39, okay. That's why I'm getting... Okay, correct this. Okay, well, shall I make my presentation?
Well, I thought we were the Ed's.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Ed knows me.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. Because I don't know you yet.
Okay. So my name is Pietro Speroni. I've been interested in alternative forms of government for a long time, basically from 2005, if not before. And I was among the first person to join the Metagovernment. I mean, when I sent an email to Ed, he was still gathering people and so on. So, in part, as through this interaction with the people of Metagovernment, we went for a European project with Giovanni Spagnolo, who is not joining anymore, who is not part of it anymore. He's very busy, although he's with us in spirit. I mean, he's still interested in Metagovernment. We did not actually get the grant, but the idea of Wilfredo came out of some of those discussions. So basically, from that, I kept on working on Wilfredo. In 2009, I started a postdoc, which originally was in bioinformatics, but I had some ideas about how could the democracy be now that we have all those tools. Exactly like you said, democracy that representative democracy is something of the 18th century. Is basically is a structure that comes from the French Revolution, that comes from the American Revolution, and basically, so there are some structures inside, like for example the 40 days between the grand electors, between the people elect the grand electors and the grand electors elected the president in the United States, that are due to the fact that people had to go by horse to Washington and elect the president. And this is crazy. I mean, in Ireland you have something similar, where the parliament only meet for 2 times a week because people in the rest of the week had to go back to their constituency, speak about what has happened, hear what other people have to say. Then, of course, it's a Christian country, have to go to church and then go back. And so they only meet, I think, on Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that. So basically, the idea is now that we have all this, how can it be different? And Vilfredo was our first essay in trying to do something, and my idea was to do something that could scale up and was valid for all questions and so on. It did not work. It means that it ended up being a tool that works for small groups and only on some specific questions. We are speaking about a tool which is called, for us, for anybody who is hearing us, a tool which is called Vilfredo Goes to Athens, which is at the link of vilfredo.org. What shall we do? At that point, we kept on developing it, in part with the user interface. I come originally from mathematics, so my whole idea is trying to build something which is mathematically fair. So not only I described Vilfredo, but I described the philosophy around it, and in general what I was trying to develop with that one. Some among the people that read my paper, there was an Italian programmer whose name was Alessandro, and Alessandro wanted to learn a new language, which was Ruby on Rails, and thought that it was cool, those ideas. And so he tried to develop a new system that actually was mathematically fair, that was in any case fair. He contacted me, and I partially participated in that, and that was what eventually became Iresis that Jacopo told you about. I am not so much participating with them, mostly because as a mathematician, I really insist on having everything mathematically fair, mathematically pure. So I study voting theory. I am very keen on having everything absolutely perfect, which actually means that sometimes there are equations or there are situations that I might need a couple of years to solve. You know, and if I need a couple of years to solve this, the software will not be developed on that for 2 years, and that's it. You know, and so, for example, in the first version of Vilfredo, there was people protesting and asking for comments to be introduced and a discussion to be introduced, and I did not introduce neither of them because I did not want to put an open discussion because I've seen a discussion mailing list and discussion how they drift away from the main problem, and only later did I found the solution to that, and then I started to introduce it, and so on, and I developed the mathematics about Vilfredo, and with that I introduced it. So there were various versions of Vilfredo. We are right now rewriting Vilfredo. I don't think I can share very much about the new one, except well, if it's needed, I can speak about it, but that's not so much part of the introduction. Vilfredo is not the only tool that I've developed. I've developed another one, which is bubbling around, bubblingaround.org, and the tool is mathematically fair for people arriving in different moments. And so for a big group of people arriving at a different moment. And we also use it as a search on YouTube. It can be used for a search on YouTube. And actually, I know this might seem not balanced, but I actually think that is the best search for YouTube that is around. Nobody's using it, it's only me and the other programmer, but for me, when I need to make a search on YouTube and I cannot actually find what I want, I go to that and I always find it. Oh. So After that, I went back to Italy and started to get a name over there. And people invited me to speak in Italy, and I collaborated with a couple of projects. Apart Iresis, the Bubbling Around was used for one of a group inside Rome, a sub-part of Rome, and then Civici, which was a project from RF, which is a foundation for participation, for internet participation in the government. Made a system for the government, for the Italian government, to ask about how to change the constitution and other things. And basically, I was the person to design the algorithm. So there were people programming, and I was the one to say, okay, they're going to see this, and then doing this, and so on. And apart from that, so basically, my postdoc finished. I decided I was not interested to keep on working in academia. So right now I'm working as a consultant in e-democracy. And I am developing Vilfredo. Vilfredo, who is getting a double license. So on one side is an open source license. On another side, a not open source license that we are going to use for corporations if they want to use it, so that we can actually make a company out of that and also get money out of that. Because and my other colleague, we've been working now for this on several years, and we are having no money getting in. And so somehow, yes, the code is open source, but of course it's going to be double license.
It's kind of like GitHub and Git.
Yes, and like WordPress.
Okay.
WordPress, which is used by the New York Times, for example. I mean, it's 1/10 of a website are running on WordPress. So is yeah, I met someone who was working on WordPress, and he told me that. And so the last thing that really was very important is, I mean, we are developing the new version of Vilfredo, as I said, but recently I went to a workshop on sociocracy, and that was really, really interesting. I'm absolutely flabbergasted by the system. We found independently Vilfredo on one side and sociocracy on the other, a lot of principles and things in common. So, so basically, there is the possibility that in future there might be sociocratic systems that use sociocratic logbook and the general system, but then use Vilfredo for the actual discussion inside. And I've had a lot of interest. So essentially, the important thing about Vilfredo is that it's not going to be a self-sustaining complete system. It's going to do one thing very, very well, and then have API to speak with everybody else. May those be, I don't know, Iresis, if they want to participate with us. Surely this one from sociocracy. The other one from what was it that we discussed recently from Australia. In any case, basically, it will be possible to call a question from outside, to receive, to send invitations, so practically to interact with it from the outside.
Wow. Do you have code somewhere where you could check it out, like like a GitHub?
Yeah, of course, of course. If you go on Git, GitHub.
This is Vilfredo. How do you spell that?
Yeah, we have Vilfredo. I put it on the chat, which is this one. And regarding the wiki, regarding the wiki is where is it? Here it is. Wiki.
Do you have any links to the math that you did? Is there like an English paper that you wrote about the math, the ones that you did back in?
I did an English paper, but it was old. And then there is a new English paper that I've been working recently, but I wasn't actually. It's still not ready, but I can share what we've done so far. I'm gonna let me see if I have it and where I have it. I had some problem with the cloud, and a lot of the things got lost, unfortunately.
That's the word.
Yes, the Vilfredo math is here. So here I have it, but it's in a PDF format. How can I share it?
You could either email it to the list, or you could post a link in the chat.
There is no link, unfortunately. It's not on Dropbox.
Oh, okay.
So.
Can you send a? Can you just? How big is it? I'll finish this, Jacobo, and then we can move on to Max and Michael.
It's 144 kilobytes, so it's not that very big.
Yeah. Can you attach it on the email to the list? I feel like that would be really interesting to read.
Yeah. Let me do something. I'll duplicate it and put it on Dropbox, and then on the public page on Dropbox, and then I'll send it to everybody.
Great. Perfect. Thanks so much, Pietro. That's really
not a problem. And copy public link, and I'll just send it over here.
All right. Can we do Max? Can you give us an interview?
Yeah, that's good.
I can hear what you say. Many of the introductions seem distorted to me. What do you want me to say right now?
It would be, the basics are your name, where you're from, what you're currently doing, and then why, in a short amount, are you interested in metagovernment.
My name's Max Stonecker. I live in Oregon, which is on the west coast of the United States. A green, today sunny place, and I'm currently kind of just exploring different things. I'm essentially retired. I'm thinking perhaps about writing. And metagovernment fits into an old thing about if people could find a way to discuss things better, this would influence the results in a certain way. For instance, you might be able to do things that you couldn't otherwise do. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Great. Well, we have pretty much everywhere in the world, which is awesome. This is exactly what government should be able to do, is connect everyone whenever you need to. I'm not sure we're going to find Ed. Ed hasn't sent anyone an invite or a link. He doesn't have a link to share. He doesn't have... he's using his iPad. He's using our link. He's not seeing it. So I have no idea what to do about it other than just have him watch this at the end, and then we can get him next time. Let's move on to the rest of the... Probably... Oh, we don't really have very much time left. I don't want to take up... How is everyone doing on time?
I'm okay. I mean, Sweet Soul is preparing dinner for me to eat while we are discussing, so I can go on for a little bit longer. But we lost a lot of time in organizing the thing, so I think because it takes so long to organize those, let's try to go a little bit longer and have something done.
Yes. Okay. I think at least the things we have is the feedback on the Villafrodo experience and the sociocracy workshop, which you kind of talked a little bit about already. Maybe it would be good to talk first actually about scheduling, and if we would want to do this again, and if when. And then if we have time, we can go back to get some questions to think about the Villafredo experience that we can discuss next time we meet.
Well, I feel in this moment I might be the historical memory of the group, because I probably am the only one. I mean, Scott is not here. Max. So in any case, usually in the past we've tried to organize something where we would meet every month or every 2 months or something like that, and they always failed. And basically, what came out working was the fact of just waiting until there was enough material that needed to be discussed, and then someone would say, let's have a meeting, and then we would do it. And in this case, it was Jacopo, and other times it was someone else. I know that Jacopo is a part of a really successful project, which is Iresis, and they are having weekly meeting or bi-weekly meeting and so on. I always get invitations, actually. It works if you really have a project where you're working on and there is something on. Like this, I suspect it is more efficient to just wait until there is enough material to work on the next one.
Okay, so as sort of an assignment for the list, it would be to come up with things to talk about that people would be passionate enough to meet, either monthly or bi-monthly or double monthly. I don't know what you call it, every 2 months.
May I say something here? I would like to say that the reason why I called this this meeting was also to try to focus on the real development that Metagovernment could bring, because I've been following Metagovernment for quite a bit now, and I see that the discussion sometimes goes very viral in the group, and sometimes die down, and I feel is missing a goal, like you know, the focus point to when we discuss about the homepage, for example. I see that there was a lot of very complex homepages that was proposed, but they didn't. We kept it on the simple side. But you know, some of this proposal was going to bring a very definitive, very focused ending of the meta-government. I mean, the scope of the meta-government. I feel like meta-government needed that. Is very much missing that. Is like there is no something that we need to reach, because if we don't have a definitive scope, the discussion can be you know, can be wavy and can be interesting, but is not productive. That's a kind of a critiques that I have. And so tonight for me was important if we can discuss that, so that we see, because in Iresis we are very focused on what we want to do and what we want to reach on the goal that we meet next week. I mean, and we don't have even sufficient energy by all the group that is involved to reach those goals because we don't have sufficient resources. Instead, I feel the resources of meta-government are strong, but are not focused, so they're lost. So this is a kind of observation that I have about, and I thought that today we could have, at least we could try to see what could be the scope of meta-government. This is I end my intervention. I leave others to comment on that.
Okay.
Sorry for my English not being very.
No, it's very good descriptive. I understood what you were trying to say. It's a difficult subject to think about. I'm reading the main page right now. Well, maybe something that would help would be I currently have, like, I could do like every other week even at this time very, very easily for me, and I could while I have time I could drive discussion around something, as long as we figured out what we wanted to talk about, like whether it be a paper that we wrote that someone has written, or like a book that we were trying to read to understand and pick apart, or maybe we just want to discuss the problems with the current government in some situation. If we were able to decide something like that, I'd be willing to volunteer to help make be the driving force person behind it. And that's why I joined the list, was to learn from the smart people that are here, and to learn, just to think. I like to understand why people say things or why people think of things. Does anyone have thoughts on that?
Well, James, I'm in more on the why, more. I'm more concentrate on the how rather than the why. The problem is today I was discussing with people about the about humanity, and I was like, I'm kind of like disenchanted by how when I start the television and I look at the news and I see what is going on, and how we waste so much resources, war, missiles that are launched, and global issues about the weather, the warming up of the atmosphere, and things like this. And instead of focusing on this, I see that we are focusing on creating problem, because I believe that all this ISIS or this war right now in the Middle East for me are created on the table, are managed to be continuous, are not managed to find a solution, are just managed to keep it running on and on and on. And so I felt like, for me, this meta-government and IRESIS, they are, I believe, they can be, Wilfredo, they can be the solutions to this problem if we activate them. So if we bring this to the level of the people, breaking number, if sufficient people are actually using it, they're going to become powerful. If we don't bring the people to use these tools, if the tools remain at only few people that are smart or intelligent or interested in developing, but they're not going to bring the change in the world that we need. So for me, this is it's very saddening. I don't know how to say, but I feel very sad about, and I don't know what to do. My only way is to bring this viral, to try to bring this discussion, these softwares, different software. I don't care if it's IRESIS or Wilfredo or another one, but whichever software that can bring the sufficient energy, sufficient power to change the situation. That's the my idea, my thinking. Maybe it's too naive, but I believe that we should find, at the moment, we should concentrate as meta-government. Tools are there, rather than just focusing on the best mathematician formula, let's say, like Pietro say, you know, to find the perfect mathematician formula. We should find to put the existing working formula into action and bring those into action. So for me, it's more into how rather than why this or why that, because the why are, I believe, they're being already answered. You know, it's economics, is power, and I mean, we know all the wise things. I believe I have it clear in my mind. You know, is interest, particular interest. I don't want to call it the big power or the so this is my point of view.
What do you think, Pietro or Max?
Was that my name there?
Yeah, I was going to get. I was asking for feedback on what you would think would help either focus the group or would allow us to keep meeting, or just response.
Well, this group, in a certain sense, is like a technocrat operation. We think that tech's going to fix it. And we have a lot of tech, and you have to have an awful lot of resources to, well, everybody has a lot of tech, and some of them have more money than most of us. So, you know, it's going to be a tech that doesn't really respond to power as the way we speak here. You might prefer to think of problems less. The solution is less than power, because I observe that if the people I support get power, they're probably worse than some of the people in power. It's kind of a reaction there to kind of being hurt in the past and remembering it and wanting revenge. So that may be, you know, nobody's going to give the underdogs power if they are pretty sure they're going to do even worse with it. So, and you know, things may look bad now, but they could get worse, and we don't even want to think about that. We do want to think about making them better, and better isn't exactly a power issue. So I suggest again that if there was a way to talk to each other without getting angry, without the sort of punch in the nose effect when we push on each other, it'd be better. And I do that a lot, and I got caught on that a couple of days ago. I'm thinking more about it. So that's my comment on it. It's not like a solution, but you could think about that kind of not in the context of making people feel powerful by voting, but in the context of making them feel powerful by realizing a different kind of power.
Okay. How do you feel like we could more effectively either meet? Do you think we could? How would you feel about meeting regularly, or what would be our barriers to that?
Mm-hmm. I'm not really sure that this group is cohesive enough to come to a result. You know, the idea that it is a bunch of separate people kind of in a neutral area probably does better with text than with video. or at least in this scenario, I really don't like voice video very much. We don't really have an observable. Here we look at the tech, and this tech is a little bit different than what we probably really want. There's not that interface between all the different media, like a little text chat off the side and links to something, all integrated nicely. That stuff is out there. I can't really say much about it at the present time, but I really don't feel this is more useful than the text in the mailing list exactly. Maybe a Google group simply would be more interesting, but it's kind of peculiar that this is a fully public, fully broadcastable conversation.
Okay.
So I'm not very enthusiastic about continuing in this format. I would, but instead of not supporting that, I'd rather say, what could we do to integrate some chats and text messages off the side and so forth.
Okay. I will add that there is the possibility to actually make it private, and so then it would be just for archive.
Oh, well, okay.
So if
I'm sure many things are possible. Oh, and
to that system, or at least not so much public on YouTube, but we could have it in the Metagovernment site, or I don't know, we could define where these videos should live, but we can decide where that actually happens.
I have a question for Max regarding this. How can you know, my point is to try to bring as much people. I understand that Max, you have pointed out that sometimes people can take worse decision, but at the same time, a worse decision will have an effect. And so the effect will actually change the people mind, because if they see that their life become worse than they had before, then things. That's also why in politics there is this continuous. You know, one time are the conservative, and one times are the Democrats, and there is a. And the law may be changing in one direction and then backward and forward and backward in different subjects till they find the spot, let's say the optimal spot. I mean, this is what is I guess direct democracy. I believe it's not a subject of I think it's more related to education and more related to preparation. I don't know how to say it. Not really preparation, but I don't know. I see in country like Switzerland. I'm 15 at this particular time. I'm in 15 kilometers from the border with Switzerland, and oops.
Yes,
Max left.
Just left. I'm not sure what happened, but.
Well, we'll wait, but my point was that, you know, there are countries where actually this system is working and where they live a very high standard of life, but this is also possible because their education system and their level of the level of education is very high among the population. I see a movie couple of days ago made by Olaf, and Olaf was participating in our Metagovernment group also. He had he is the title of this documentary about direct democracy was "It's Time to Talk." It's Time to Talk was the title, and the very nice things that I see it in this was that in the history, the direct form of government was proposed in different situations at different times, and at every times they reach a level where the same people that actually started to be the people to decide, they actually turn this self-determination down after a while. You know, for example, in the United States, it started with the independence from England. You know, the people was doing this self-determination, and that the self-determination brought United States to independence. Then slowly, once they have the independence, then the people that write the independence slowly started to do exactly the same things that England was doing to the colonies. You know, they started to run, so the federal government started to become the supervisor of everybody, and the self-determination was removed from the people, or was given a form that was so much delegated that actually bring back the same problem of, you know, the delegate politics. That's the so there are interests, there are lobbies, there are things. So I'm a very, very strong believer in self-determination, as long as there is a good level of preparation to that. Now I see this as a generational goal, because I see that, you know, the internet brought this difference of being so much connected to the news, to the possibility to say something, to the possibility to promote petitions or we see, but we are still so much divided. And as much as we are divided into small group to make petition on one side or on another side or a different side or another side, then the energy has been blended again. Has been the power has been turned off by divide. And so divided impera, it is a very old saying in Latin. You know, if you divide the people, then you can run them, and if you unite them, then they can have a say. So it's so simple. Is a point. So I see we have to reach the breach point where people believe in that unite the things. And so for me is for me the most important focus. I'm sorry that Max is not here, because I wanted him to comment on that.
Yeah.
I also would like to see what Pietro have to say, because you know, on this. Michael is so silent.
I don't think
Michael is not.
Oh no, yeah.
Michael,
he said something about 40 minutes ago.
So before he turned on the microphone, and I think we could have hear something, but then he turned off the microphone again. So if Michael can come and say something, I really would like to understand it. So we are only 4 people, and I don't think we're going to make a war difference tonight. But it's important that there is as much people as possible on this, not you know, not being little groups. I think united will be better. The more united we are.
So should I speak while you're waiting for Michael?
Let's give him a second to see if he responds.
He said that he has technical problem and is not.
I don't know if it's gonna work. What do you think? Do you have either respond to Jacobo's, or my question would be, when it did work, when meetings together did work, what made them work in the past?
So there's a lot of things that have been raised, and I want to answer your question, but I also want to respond to some of the things that have been said
Yeah.
before.
Please go ahead.
And my point of view has changed a lot in the past during the past workshop, in the past workshop of this weekend on sociocracy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a few things that if you asked me before, I would have said no, it's not true that we do have the tool to make a difference, and which is why it's important to get the perfect mathematical tool. Not only this, but we can approach this problem in parallel. So I'm a mathematician. My work is to work as a mathematician. Jacopos is not a mathematician, but he is very good in publicizing IRESIS and contacting groups here and there and so on. And he's doing this very, very well. And so different people are taking different roles and going and say, this is what needs to be done, and so we all need to do this is actually an handicap and not a help. Because yes, that thing might help, but you're stopping a lot of other things that would naturally be done. So that's one of the elements. A second element is it is incorrect to say that Switzerland is a direct democracy. Switzerland is a series of representative democracies, on top of which they have a referendum that can be where you can propose something. In Italian referendum, you can only abrogate a law. In Swiss referendum, you can propose another law. This is very good, but it's not perfect. So, for example, there's a number of problems with the Swiss referendum. What actually happens is that people present an idea, and then the referendum starts to get near, and so the politicians rapidly come up with a new law that is going in that direction of the referendum, but without reaching completely what the referendum would have done, and hoping in this way to deflate some of the power from this referendum, and then not enough people actually would go to the referendum, and so on. You might say, oh, this is terrible. Well, wait a second. Some of the referendum present some ideas that are unconstitutional or that are against international treaties. For example, in Italy, there's a law that states that you cannot run a referendum that goes against an international treaty. So we cannot leave the EU through a referendum. It is illegal, it's against the Constitution. Fair enough. I mean, go and explain this to some people might actually not be that simple, but so for the same reason, we cannot vote on a referendum about nuclear power. Yes, we had a referendum on nuclear power, but it wasn't exactly on that. There was something about it, because nuclear power in Italy was tied to international treaties, and so something, and mostly it was received as what direction does the people want us to go, and then the politician take that as a direction. But for example, there was a referendum in Switzerland where the question is, if a person commit a violent crime because he was mentally unstable, finishes his time in jail, should he be released or he should just go into a mental institute?
Mm-hmm.
And overwhelmingly, the people say he should go in a mental institute, because the great majority of people prefer to be fair, to be safe, than to care for those people, of course. Mm-hmm. Except that you have that Switzerland joins the United Nations, and in part of the United Nations, all the nation signs the inalienabili, the rights that cannot be taken away from human beings. And one of them is that the punishment that once a person has finished his punishment, the punishment should be, the person should have nothing over. So nothing carried over. So by going through this referendum, Switzerland released a law which is actually against the human rights of the United Nations that Switzerland has signed. So you see, there are problems. When people vote for something in direct democracy, people often do not see all the consequences of whatever they are voting, and that is a problem. And in the kind of democracies we have right now, where people tend to explain in very short sentences and without going deeply into a topic, the result is that people follow specific leaders without actually, people meaning 60% of the people follow specific leaders without actually going deep enough. So I'm not necessarily a fan of a direct democracy. I think that yes, Switzerland is going in the right direction, and it's surely better than Italy. But I also think that in Switzerland there should be something that balances this, so that, for example, a referendum should not install a law that is against human rights that have been assigned at the United Nations level. You know, I think it's kind of a good idea.
Pietro, may I ask you something? The human right you referred.
Sorry, let me. I'd rather not answer this question right now, because I was just making an example, and I'd rather continue on the topic.
Okay, let's let Pietro finish his statement, and then we can respond.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing is that I went to this course of sociocracy, and basically this blew my mind. And this sociocracy is a way of reaching agreements that started philosophically at around 1850 with Comte, and then got developed in the Netherlands. And because all the books were in Dutch, it actually never developed outside the Netherlands for a long time. My teacher started actually in 2001, but with a very vague understanding, because exactly in 2001 the number of tools around the nation were very limited. Then in 2005 there was someone, I don't know the name, but you can find it out. The Wikipedia page of sociocracy. Sorry?
Let me interrupt you for a second. Do you have a link or something you could share with us?
The page of sociocracy is good.
Sociocracy, like .com or something like that?
Wikipedia page of sociocracy.
Okay.
Just go to sociocracy on Wikipedia, and you get a good link with other links and the presentation and so on.
Okay, thank you. Okay, continue.
And interestingly, they developed a system for groups to work together so that everybody was involved, and that works for communities and works for corporations and it works, you know, it scales up to a certain size. They claim that it scales very, very high. I still have my doubts.
Yeah.
But it works for a few hundred individuals into several groups of maximum about 15, 20 individuals, with people going into several groups at once, and so that they are linked between them. I have to say, from when I've seen that, and participating in that workshop was itself a sociocratic experiment, because the teacher started by asking us if anybody had any objection on him teaching us sociocracy for the next 2 days, even though we actually already paid for that course. You know, and it's really, and every decision, it was taken using a sociocratic way, and which is not and I'm saying this for Ed, and I'm saying this, which is not a consensus, but is not majority.
Okay.
So this is no, it's not majority, and no, it's not consensus. So it's really weird, and it has used, and it has found back a lot of things. In fact, we have found back, because they came first, we have found back a lot of things in Vilfredo that they actually found in sociocracy. And one of the things is not to ask if everybody agrees to do something, but to ask, it's a very subtle difference, but has anyone any objection to this proposal?
Okay.
So anybody who is neutral does not have an objection. So, and then, I mean, it's a little bit more complex, and I'm not going to speak about it over here, and I can speak about it a little bit if we want to make some talk, we can do. I can present a little bit what my understanding about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact of just changing this makes it so that there is no objection from anyone. So you have no. It's like no one has an objection, but you don't need to have the majority of people who want to do that. But everybody has thought it through, and everybody who could have thought about a problem, no one found a problem. And then there is the phrase, is this good enough for now? Is it good enough to try? So, you know, you might reach something and then you want to make it better, but there is a limited time and so on. And, okay, is it good enough for now? And so you actually start and do it in this way. The book that came in English is We the People. And although it looks like reading a whole book to understand something might look as very big, but let me see if I have it. But actually, if you look inside that book, there is history, there is a science. I put between quotes the science because I'm a scientist. But the actual, yeah, I mean, some part of sociology, they still have to convince me that it's science. That's my... but the actual method is about 20 pages. You know, it's no big deal. You can really study it. Then in Utrecht there is a place where you can.
The book.
We the People.
We the People.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I might read that.
Pietro, solo un'osservazione. Mi sembra che I think that in our group, especially for example, just in preparation of this meeting, I feel we act by these rules that you just exposed, the rules of sociocracy, because every time I need to propose something, I'm first of all, I offer other people, for example, James found the link, and I was just, you know, it was in my mind, it was, is this good for now? Is that the best now? And then I was okay for it because I actually knew what he was doing. I knew Hangouts. I like the way these tools work, and so I was proposing. So I think these sociocracy rules, we actually, as you say, the subtle difference are there. Is a very subtle difference between direct democracy and sociocracy that can be very, very subtle, the differences. They're not very things. At the end, somebody must vote, and so the way you reach the vote, if you ask yourself, is this the best? Is this good for now? Anybody oppose this decision? Are basically the same things as, you know, they can be like, it's just a semantic type of approach, okay? More kind, more delicate, more good for, but I think it's very similar. So you're talking about very educated people, and that's exactly people that are conscious about other people's feelings. So there is where it can work. But when the things has to be exposed to the whole group, then you start to see that actually can become dangerous if there is not that level of education. So you were in a group where everybody was very highly prepared to put everything on game, non so come si dice in inglese, mettersi in gioco.
All right.
Yeah, mettersi in gioco, to put themselves out and participate fully. That's mettersi in gioco. Let me answer to this. Yes to one, no to the other. The fact that sociocracy requires that people are at a certain level of mental and emotional development. I mean, kids go through various stages of development, and eventually there is some sort of developmental phase, which I've been told it's called the rational phase. Then they speak about other phases later on, but up to the rational phase, I am pretty sure that is kind of accepted. And the rational phase is the phase when people are able to distinguish between a well-posed, no, the problem is this one, and for this reason we need to do this one, you know, a reasoning, a well-posed reasoning, and the one that react from belief systems, react from emotional problems, and so on. Sorry.
So is where the problems start, when they answer emotionally to something. Yes, usually.
Yes, but the main problem in all this is that actually we all of us revert to this kind of action and of reaction at some point when we are stressed out, when we are tired, and so on. So the fact that sociocracy requires that level is absolutely correct. And
how do you define the rational? I guess you said there's some kind of.
I let psychologists define it.
Yeah, that's hard.
I don't enter into that. But if you enter into Facebook chat, you can see very well people who are reasoning and say no because of this or this, and people who just blur out of their belief system. So that's for this. I totally agree with you, Jacopo. And yes, sociocracy requires this level of education and emotional and mental development. That's for sure. On the other side, maybe I am telling you this out of an experience that I have made being part of a sociocratic experiment for 2 days. It's not the same thing. It's really not. The moment in which people are asked, do you agree or not? Are you voting +1 or -1? And we need 100% of +1, or the proposal will not pass. A lot of people will not vote +1 on that proposal. If instead you say, do you have a problem with this? And you have so much time to write a problem, and if nobody writes the problem, the proposal passes. Sociocracy does not work on internet. Sociocracy works on people meeting together, and it can be done very rapidly. Anybody has an objection, and you go around and you look in the eyes one after the other. Whoever has an objection says, no, I have an objection, and then you don't go immediately over there. You just look how many objections are there, and then you hear the objections of the people, and then you amend the proposal. Something very similar to what we do on the referendum. So, but I cannot give you. It might feel like it's the same thing. It's really not. I hope one time I will be able to give you an example, and then you will see it. So that's as much as I can say.
You think that I don't know now who developed. I think one of the guys from Metagovernment is called Satellite, and there was a formula. There was a mathematic formula where that work on objection. Actually, that you know, everybody write the objection, and based on the objections, the rating was divided. I don't remember what was the formula, but basically it was working by adding objection over the objection. Then the objection had less value if you objected in a way that could be voted. If your objection.
No, you are still thinking about summing votes and subtracting points based on objections. It's not the same thing. You might have a single person who has one objection, and they just don't go forward because there is that objection. It's not a matter. It's something different. Please, I mean, sorry. You know, I've been around. I've been around IRESIS. I've been around in many other systems. It's neither of that. Wilfredo goes near to that, but not over there. You know, I really would have liked Ed to be present because Ed is a very he really likes consensus, and I think he would love sociocracy. I really think he would. But that's really all I can say. So having seen that, at this point, from Wilfredo's point of view, we are developing our tool so that it can merge into a sociocratic system eventually that can work online. I would say the best thing in this moment is to learn this system because it's the best system I've seen so far.
The sociocracy system?
Yeah. I definitely would go for that. Said that, so that is where and then the question about meeting and so on. One of the things about sociocracy, let me apply something, is that groups meet around an aim. So every group should have a vision, a mission, and an aim. And the group meet around an aim. And so
you say mission and aim, are those different? Or
different things. VMA, vision, mission, aim.
Vision, mission, aim. Okay.
So if we want to make meta-government into a circle following the sociocratic system, for example, we would have to meet to decide what the vision should be, and then meet again to decide what the mission should be, and then meet again to decide what the aim should be. And there can be several aims. You know, now we want to develop this and we want to participate in that, and then there is a particular aim, and then there is another aim, and so on. Aim are, you know, like tactical, objective, whereas the vision is more like a strategic grand vision of where you want to go, and the mission is how are you going to achieve it.
This is all in the book or the website that we could read?
I suspect so. I haven't read the book yet.
Okay.
So, but my understanding is that it should be there. I don't know. In any case, get in touch with me in case. I have also the booklet that they sent me. I don't know if I can share it. So as soon as I know if I can share it, I'll share it around with you.
Yeah, please find it out.
So I would say that's our best tool and our best strategy at this point.
Aim.
And just meeting as a discussion every 2 weeks without any aim and just finding an aim. I don't think that would be successful. I don't think that would be good. It would just add to the many things that failed inside the Metagovernment group, and myself, I would not have the time for that. I mean, I travel all over Europe, so even right now, I am sacrificing things that are very important for me to be in this moment in this group, just because the meeting of Metagovernment happens every year, so I can do that. If it was every month, I wouldn't do it right now.
Okay, so every month would be too much.
It depends on the aim.
Yeah.
You find that the aim that is making Vilfredo being used by the Italian government, you'll find me every day. You put it Iresis, and you find Jacopo being there every day. It depends on what is the aim.
I will be there, Pietro. I will be there even for Vilfredo. I told you before. I don't care which platform. I just found the social aim of Iresis very interesting, because it brings people together to talk to things. I find that the process we had for the home page too extremely tiring to bring everybody. I mean, really, if people is sadistic almost, I will say, to keep reading a proposal where only one phrase has been changed and tried and vote again and go to the next level. It would be like a very much too difficult. Maybe this sociocratic system can work out better. Now, we are here already 1 hour and 20 minutes from the time that we were able to finalize the connection, and I think that we should have a name for the next. For example, I will aim to be sure to have everybody connected on the next reunion, so that we can have maybe Ed and Max and Tim and anybody else that is missing tonight. And also we could work out on a name if nobody of us oppose. Please, let's make sure that I don't put that phrase, but is underlined anyway. Has anybody anything to say if we have a name to have everybody on the next reunion, and we organize it already for maybe we give it a week time, I guess, because tonight we couldn't have Ed and anybody, and I guess we also cleared a little bit more the ground for the next meeting.
I kind of agree with what Petro said, that I feel it'd be better if we had if we waited till we had something to agree on to talk about before we agreed on who wants to talk about it.
Okay, so allora let's work out something on the mailing list to have an aim for the next meeting. Let's set the discussion.
I also have a problem with this proposal, which is that my next weekend and the weekend after and the weekend after, I will not be able to participate because I'll be in a workshop, and which will probably take the whole day, and then probably also I will arrive kind of late in the evening. So I would not be able in any case to make it by next week.
No, it's not next week. Or I mean, the data now. We just said that we're going to go for the aim, like James said. Let's set on the mailing list to have an aim to meet, and then we may set up the doodle again, and then we will find the best time to get everybody on stage again. James?
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I think that's very appropriate. I'm glad the people who are here and who are able to stay here till the end. I'm glad we can make it, and thanks for taking time out of your schedules to talk about this. I mean, we all agree it's important. It's just hard. Resources are just hard. Right.
Michael can tell us something on the chat maybe about that.
I don't think Michael has not said anything for an hour.
I think Michael is not there at the moment. I
don't think so. I don't think so either.
Sometimes
I really like this. I really like this, the sociocracy idea, and I'm gonna find that book on my Kindle. Hopefully it's on Kindle and I can read it. And then maybe come up with some questions or something to talk about for the next meeting. And perhaps you'd be able to, we can find a time when whoever has something, I don't know, I'm going to try and think, oh, Michael's gone. Maybe he was here. It's officially gone now.
Honestly, I think Michael just had his mobile. And if he was with the mobile, sometimes it happens that it keeps on remaining connected without review. Yes, one of the things that we can do is, yeah, it would be interesting to have. I was on one side. I was thinking if I could explain sociocracy, at the next meeting. The next meeting it might be. But I only did it for one weekend, and I would be able to explain a few elements. It's actually a really complex thing, but I can try to apply it, and we see how this works as a possibility. We just I can a little bit speak about it. But look at the book and we speak about it at the mailing list, maybe.
Pietro, please, can you tell me again the title of the book? We are?
No, we the people.
We the people.
Yeah. And I can try to find the book on Amazon so that I send you the link, because there's more than one We the People book.
I'm going to go over a list of...
Yeah, because there's a lot about American politics and so on. Which one it is? Okay. Oh. Let me see. We the people. Okay, let's see if I can read it. Here, we the people consenting to a deeper democracy is the complete name.
Consenting to different...
To a deeper democracy.
To... Oh, you have the link. Deeper. Oh.
Yeah.
It's not on Kindle. Dang it.
They don't have it in iKindle. I'm so sorry.
I don't know how I'm going to get it in Taiwan.
Oh, fuck, you're right.
It's just Taiwan. Yeah. I can find it somewhere. It might take me a while to get it, but once I get it, then I'll have something to say about it.
Yeah, can you get it can you get one of your friends to send it to you?
Yes, it just is it's either very long or very expensive.
Indeed.
It takes a long time, or it's going to be really
expensive. Well, hopefully I will be able to get you the booklet of that was given to me. I know that I have the permission to share it with the developers of Vilfredo, because we are trying to merge Vilfredo with their system, and so it should not be too much of. I just need to find out if I can share it on the list, or it's Creative Commons in any case. If I can share it on the list, or instead it should be shared out of the list.
Okay. So that reminds me to go over the action items. So getting the list for getting the permission to share the pamphlet. The other thing I wrote down was make a copy of the algorithm you're currently working on.
Yeah.
Link to the list, and then.
Well, the mathematical paper will have a better understand. Through that, you might have a better understanding of Vilfredo
Mm-hmm.
than from the direct code. I mean.
And then I don't have anything written for Jacobo.
Tell me again.
I don't have anything written. I guess it's for us. It's to read, to find this book and try and understand sociocracy better.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
One thing that after the meeting, for me it's only 10 o'clock right now, and so I don't know if you are tired, but if you want.
Oh, you want to talk the education piece? I'd like
10, 15 minutes just telling you my idea if you think that is viable or not, because it involves a lot of copyright issues and things to use ready material that has been. But maybe we talk after it's closed the meeting.
Okay. Yes, I was gonna send you an email after about that, but we can stay on, and then Pietro can log off. We can stop broadcasting.
Yeah, I think I'll go. Thank you very much for the meeting, and it was great.
It's a great meeting, everyone.
I knew that before. It was nice to meet you, Jameson. Cheers.
Ciao Pietro.
Ciao.
Ci vediamo presto noi.
A presto. Ciao.
See ya.
Ciao.